Hello and welcome back to Andy's Cavern, boxing fans. We've got a special treat for you tonight. We've got part two of Porky's Angels with some of the commission guys on. We've got Gerry from Ireland, we've got Canada Bob from Canada's Boxing Channel, and we've got Jamie from Salford. A big welcome to them all. How are we doing, guys?
We're
Ready
doing
for
good.
part two?
Very good. Very good. I understand that Jamie has promised to not eat his kebab on your show. So your show is going to be the quality show, the polite show, the family-friendly show. On my channel, there was half of a kebab coming down Jamie's face. So
I had fat dribbling down my chin, didn't I? I'm sorry about that, Bob.
Yeah. Spectacular.
All good fun.
Did you get house sauce?
Yeah. I thought the
Did you
first
get
time,
house sauce on your kebab?
No, no, I didn't. It was dry. It was dry, but
Dry? Jesus Christ.
I know. Well, no, because I was supposed to eat it before I come on, but it turned up, so I didn't want it to go cold. So anyway, this isn't boxing related chat, is it? They're talking about a cow's leg. Come on.
what do we think about the Crocker Donovan rematch, which has been penciled in? I think it's been ordered by the IBF, so I believe. Billy Nelson didn't seem too happy about it initially.
One of the people that subscribes to my channel wasn't very happy because I did a video thinking that it was a good thing that the IBF had awarded Donovan a rematch because, I know you guys know, because I think that it was a bit harsh to disqualify Donovan the way he was disqualified. But somebody commented upon my channel that apparently I'd missed a whole bunch of headbutts and that I was a plonker. So
you're not a plonker, Bob, but I would agree because I know that not everyone's in the same camp. I know Gerry is in agreement with you, and you, Gerry.
I mean, I don't dispute the fouls, but the use of the head was definitely coming back from Crocker. So on the use of the head, my argument to that is, why was Marcus McDonald so biased?
Yeah.
And then the ending, the disqualifications, and another matter altogether, in my opinion. But go ahead.
See, I was just going off it happened a couple of times, and to me, I just think, well, it doesn't matter if he's winning. I think a lot of people, I mean, present company accepted, of course, but a lot of people jumped on it because they were like, oh, he was so far ahead and all that. Well, you can't be going into a fight like that as a referee. And I think Marcus McDonald, he gets a lot of shit and gets a lot of, criticism, rightly so. But I think he made a very, very tough call there. And fair play to him. And I don't think Billy Nelson, by the way, I don't think he was angry at the fact that they've got a rematch, because he just said, well, we'll take the rematch. I think what he, took exception to was the fact that
the ranking.
Well, yeah, and the appeal as well. The fact that he's won the appeal, and it's like, well,
If I can jump in, Jamie, my issue was that the referee was out of position. Like, the referee should have been able to jump in before that late blow was thrown. And secondly, I'm prepared to accept that there is auditory exclusion, that possibly neither Donovan or Crocker heard the bell because they were so focused on what they were doing. And I think that the IBF supports that argument, not the auditory exclusion bit so much, but the fact that the referee was out of position. And had he been in position, he would have been able to prevent that late shot.
Yeah. There was also a blatant elbow. I don't think he was penalised for the elbow, was he? It was more
I don't think so, no. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there was a blatant elbow. I thought that was quite an infringement myself, Yeah, I mean, the rematch, you've got to back Donovan in the rematch. You're right what you're saying. I don't think Billy Nelson was opposed to the rematch. He was more opposed to, I think it was like the IBF favouring Donovan, who was to be seen as the foul committer, and also he went from ranking 6 to ranking 3. on a loss, regardless of how the loss occurred. You know, he also performed very well apart from the fouls.
Yeah, he said that. He said that because he was on the channel that it was talked about. He was asking, I think it was IFL, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he was asking him. He was saying, "Look, Eddie Hearn's in the building with you. Go and ask him now. How does that happen?"
Yeah. And Eddie,
How
I
does
seen
Dillian
he had
White-
been interviewed, and he was saying, "Oh, what? I'm not the IBF. I'm not the IBF. How can it's not new to me, mate?" So, all that sort of stuff, isn't it?
Well, we've
Better
established
than me. Yeah.
we've established chatting earlier that the rankings just seem to be moved about depending on who wants who to fight. So, forgetting about that for a second, Billy Nelson maybe hasn't said he's annoyed, but I'll be honest with you. Whenever I heard Billy Nelson said, "We'll not be taking the rematch. We'll be taking the IBF shot," that said it all to me. So they've been like lucky escape, in my opinion. So neither can I swear?
Can you swear?
Neither F.
I'd rather you didn't swear on my channel, Gerry.
Okay, I said F.
I'd rather you did. You were swearing on my channel.
Oh,
Oh, fuck it. I'll swear for everyone. Come on.
so yeah, they're a bit fucked because they're having to go through Donovan again. So that essentially has, I mean, they thought they were on the train to title shot there. So whether he gets beat or not, that was going to be a big payday for Crocker. So that's all kinds of plans blown up there, in my opinion. In terms of the IBF's decision, I'll boil it down like a lot simpler than like some of the things you guys have said. It ended in what a lot of people are sort of describing as controversial. One guy got disqualified who was clearly winning the fight. Point taken from Jimmy. Yeah, you don't like the decision by the referee doesn't sort of take into regard who's winning the fight. But the IBF have obviously went, well, that guy was winning that fight, so take away those fouls, and a guy who should have been getting the shot isn't getting the shot. So they've probably just was like, yeah, let them do it again. I think a lot of people would be in agreement with that as well, that would need to be run back again. And if it wasn't run back again, say Crocker was to get a shot at Innes, would he avoid that rematch, which is, as Porky said, it would haunt him from now until the end of his career, or would he just avoid that and just keep running away from the fact that what Donovan did to him, like, because Donovan embarrassed him, like.
I think Ennis will do a worse job. To be fair, I don't think he's on a hiding to nothing either way, isn't he? Really?
Yeah, he's on a bigger payday if he was able to go against Ennis, but going back against Paddy Donovan. I would be thinking that Paddy Donovan would be almost a prohibitive betting favourite. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would back Paddy Donovan. But back to Billy Nelson, I think he acknowledged that Donovan was doing the better work and was the better man on the night.
He said him after the fight.
He's an honest guy, Billy Nelson. I think he's a straight talker. But I know some people give him criticism for talking too much in the media light about Martin Bacoli, but he's also Martin Bacoli's manager. I don't know if he's, as well as trainer, I don't know if he's Lewis Crocker's manager. I'm not aware if he is. I don't know if he is or not.
I think he might be, Andy. I get a bit bored of hearing the shtick from Billy Nelson, but I tell you what, he's second only to Eddie Hearn in terms of promotion. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think Keir Starmer would do well to either ring Billy Nelson or ring Eddie Hearn and get them on side as spin doctors, because you would have thought Martin Bacoli was like king of the world, wouldn't you? The way Billy Nelson's been going on the last 5 years.
Talking about Eddie Hearn being a better spin doctor than anybody, I reckon if Dubois had Eddie Hearn as his promoter, we wouldn't have seen Dubois radio silence for 35 days. I think Eddie Hearn would have gone to work from the get-go with a narrative that would have been all over social media and all over YouTube. I'm not suggesting that it would have had any, resemblance of truth, but he's really, really good at getting a story out, isn't he?
Yeah, keeping the airwaves full, isn't he? Yeah, he's very good at that.
Yeah, and he doesn't get angry like Frank Warren. Frank Warren is sort of all shoulder roll and anger, but Eddie Hearn is far more palatable, shall we say, or approachable. So
Frank Warren was also
an
incredible exploding man at times, isn't he?
Yeah, his eyes bulge out of his head, and I don't mean
about him, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got that shoulder roll. He's like Floyd Mayweather. I'm not sure what he's doing there. So.
I've got us all on screen at once now, not just the speaker. I've hit the button that said gallery and view. So
I fucked out of that.
Good job I'm not munching on a kebab then, isn't it?
So you're on view all the time. Talking about Billy Nelson, the proof will be in the pudding if he's right about this, but he says Martin Bacoli's back in the gym and he's already lost 2.5 stone. So he says, watch out what he does to Ajigba.
What kind of steroids is he taking in?
Sorry?
What kind of steroids is he taking in?
But it raises a good question though. And I talked about this in a video the other day. Like professional athletes getting themselves completely out of shape between fights. That's really, really weird. Like you wouldn't expect your soccer player or your NFL player or your hockey player to be between games or even between seasons ballooning. But heavyweight boxers in particular seem to go from, being in fight shape to being in couch shape. They don't seem to stay in shape. I mean, some do, like Usyk, Joshua, Dubois, probably.
Klitschko's always stayed in shape, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did as well, Joe Calzaghe. I think in terms of fighters, not ticking over in the gym, I think Ricky Hatton's got a lot to answer for in that respect. Yeah. And I remember I had a chat with I think it was, I used to be on a podcast with Bobby Rimmer, who was like, Brian Rose's trainer, and he co-trained Ricky. But he said, like, you used to get people sort of, an 8-week camp, because they always call it a camp, don't they, even though they're going to the gym every day. Like, people were just taking 12 weeks just so they could have, like, 10 pints of Guinness a night while they were on off-season. And it just become a trend.
And that shortened his career, Ricky Hatton. He could have gone on a couple of years if he hadn't ballooned up weight. And Tyson Fury's the same. I think. All that ballooning and weight.
But that's a bad example. That's a bad example. And then other guys think, oh, well, what the hell? If Tyson Fury can turn into a big fat man, I can turn into a big fat man. I
think I put a video in the group chat a while back. Bob will maybe remember. Jersey Joe Walcott, and I put out look how lean the fighters were back then. And if you go back to Joe Lewis, there was a guy called 2-ton Tony Galento, was it not? I bet he was maybe 15 stone. I bet he wasn't 20 stone, and he was described as rotund at that time, wasn't he?
Yeah, Tony Soprano.
He dropped Joe Lewis, didn't he, Bob?
Yeah, he did. And Joe Lewis fought many of his best fights at sort of 198 to 207. And I said to somebody the other day that there isn't a human being alive today who Joe Lewis couldn't have dropped. I don't think you need necessarily to be, massive. Like, I don't know, 250 at the absolute most. Like, I watched some Lennox Lewis highlights the other day. And for much of Lennox's career, Lennox was, 2.25.
Yeah. 245 he was a lot of the time, 244, 245. But
if you watch Joe Lewis punching, though, he puts a full rotation in, doesn't he? His whole body turns when he lands a punch. It's quite a sight to behold, really.
And what a great finisher, though. When he hit people, they stayed hit.
That's it.
You got Bob going now, Andy. He won't stop.
His eyes have lit up when I mentioned Joe Lewis.
Like Billy Nelson.
I'm sounding like my dad now. I used to argue in favor of Muhammad Ali, and I would argue against my dad. My dad was a Joe Lewis fan. I've become my dad.
I'm like that with Hagler, to be honest.
I know myself. I've caught myself sounding like my dad. Like that wasn't 30 miles an hour when somebody drives past.
Bob, you said 250 tops. just to put things into perspective here, at 41, Vladimir Klitschko, 6'6", against Joshua was 240 pounds. That's in shape. That's in shape.
Absolutely.
For
And
a man that day.
And Vlad still looks in shape. When you see Vlad at these events, Vlad looks like he could take his jacket off and get in the ring almost. He looks in outstanding physical condition.
He probably could, you know. I mean, we talked about George Foreman last week. George Foreman was massively out of shape. He had longer out of the ring. And I'd argue he was probably a little bit more shot-worn than Klitschko would have been. Klitschko just stayed on the end of a jab. He didn't really, he was very risk-averse, you know.
Usyk's manager said recently that Vladimir Klitschko has never missed a training session since he retired. He's not
the only one that said that.
Sorry?
Jonathan Banks. He's not the only one that said that. Jonathan Banks and a load of people will testify that Klitschko's just can't give up the gym.
Yeah.
It's kind of incredible.
No, good for him.
Yeah. You know, he's a perfect example, a really good example to all young boxers coming up, I would say.
I agree.
So another question, guys, shifting up a bit. How's the Excellency bubble burst with revelations about Turkey's political coup inside the Saudi empire, you might say?
I think we've seen a shift in the way people refer to the double excellent Turkey. People are not quite as obsequious as they used to be. It remains to be seen at the next Riyadh show, will anybody be holding his hand like Frank Warren was last time?
It depends if they get invited to the shows, Bob. At the moment, it's a bit obscure, isn't it? I mean, you've got Bob and Eddie just palling up. That's for a reason, obviously. They need to go against him to get anywhere.
Does anybody think that Dana White's going to walk down an aisle with Turkey holding hands?
Probably not.
No. Yeah, I don't see it somehow.
Maybe if he's crossing the road. And the Green Cross Code Man's not there. Maybe Turkey is the Green Cross Code Man in disguise, a modern day. Remember the Green Cross Code Man? He won't be there when you cross the road.
Dave Prowse, who was Darth Vader.
That's right. He was a big guy, wasn't he? Was he not about 6'6"? So
he was I don't know if he was Olympic, but he was definitely a weightlifter. And he actually was called in to train Christopher Reeve for Superman. So Dave Prowse, aka Darth Vader, trained Christopher Reeve because Christopher Reeve is quite sort of slim and skinny, so he bulked up and trained under Dave Prowse. So a bit of trivia there for you.
He had terrible asthma though, didn't he?
Who?
The Darth Vader reference.
Went over my head. Sorry.
He did well considering that disability of having asthma. So
absolutely.
Jimmy's away from our kebab. Look.
At first, I thought Gerry said David Price. I was thinking you were talking about Dave Price, the boxer that Tyson Fury ducked.
No, David Price.
He kind of got derailed, big truck, didn't he, David Price? I mean, Tyson Fury didn't fight him. I think he was the last guy to beat Tyson Fury in amateurs, so I believe. But he was a big puncher, but he got ruined by Tony Thompson, and then the rematch that was a bad.
The funniest interview that ever happened with that. Oh, can anyone lend me wife a wheelchair because I'm about to break her hip? I've not had sex with her in like 6 months.
Tony Thompson said that.
Brilliant. Yeah, Tony Thompson. Check out the interview, Gerry. Go on YouTube.
I watched it at the time. I remember going, "Oh Jesus!"
Yeah, yeah. What year was that?
He said it live on air.
Yeah. Oh no! Alex Steedman was the funniest though, because he went. Tony Thompson went, and she's gonna feel the pain, and then Alex Steedman turned around and went, "And the pleasure." Sorry, it's a family show. Sorry
I'm
about
pleased,
that.
it's, I'm pleased
Just
it's on
totally-
Andy's channel.
Because then Patterson got done for steroids.
Yeah, he did. He did. I feel sorry for David Price in that regard,
I do as
because
well.
Erkan Tepper as well, wasn't he? Erkan Tepper was found to be juicing, and then you had
Povetkin.
Povetkin?
yeah.
That
Was
was
he
a
an
horrible
undefeated fighter?
Well, was Povetkin found to be doing anything at that point? This latest speculation, which has just been brushed under the carpet, I have a lot of questions for. So I don't remember Povetkin getting busted at the time, but they're certainly saying something about him in the past. It's all very sketchy, in my opinion. I'm sure someone we know might be able to give us some answers to.
Needs to be a
Someone-
level. Needs to be a level playing field as regards drug failures. You get some people getting like Liam Cameron getting a 5-year ban for cocaine, and then you get
Which
Crusher.
I just totally disagree with.
Crusher Ben's getting. Well, he's kind of got away with a suspension on and off for 2 years, isn't he? And even though he said never banned and all that's nonsense. He's suspended. So suspension ban, it's the same thing in my book.
We
Yeah.
also get these sort of silent bans, right? I mean, surely the British Boxing Board of Control should publish a disciplined persons list, so it's entirely transparent. Billy Badango suspended 18 months. So instead of Billy Badango just going to, quiet for 18 months, everybody can see, well, okay, you were banned. You were banned because you did X, Y, and Z. I don't understand why we don't have that transparency. Most self-regulatory agencies will publish a disciplined persons list so that people can look and see, okay, well, that guy was disciplined, suspended, or whatever, whether it's the law society or anybody else.
Finance, though, isn't it, Bob? Like, this is probably the reason why they were so heavy with the Eubank Junior fine. One of the reasons, because they're not bringing any money in. They're a toothless organisation, so they're going to tread very, very carefully to ensure that they're not doing anything that can open up to potential legal action.
Yeah, I guess so. Though I would say that's a sign of being not just financially impecunious, but totally gutless and lacking in any form of moral code, right?
Yeah, they're a toothless tiger.
Yeah. No, you say they're toothless. If they can screw that money out of Eubank, which in my eyes is wrong, or they need to say what they're doing with the money. There seems to be a lack of transparency with that. I do believe they do give some people money, but when you saw Nick Blackwell interviewed, they've never gave him any money.
No.
So who are they giving the money to if they're not giving it to somebody like him? I mean, he got damaged in the Eubank fight, but I think he got worse. I think he was kind of mainly recovered, almost fully recovered from that. Yeah. And then foolishly went and sparred somebody, didn't he? Even though he shouldn't have been, but whoever was running that gym shouldn't have allowed that either. Should have.
See, I was going to be the devil here, and I'd probably get shouted at. But would they maybe look at it as, well, it's your fault. You were told not to. You were told not to do it again, and. Didn't the guy who authorised the spar? I'm sure he got suspended, or
I think he did. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you made a good point there, Jamie. Nick Blackwell has some responsibility for deciding to get in the ring now. Would you, if you escaped from a life or death situation previously, would you take the gamble? I don't think I would, but.
Certainly not. No. Yeah, if you're not, if you're swimming with sharks and you nearly get eaten, you're not going to get back in with them, are you?
As we've said with Chisora, boxing's maybe like a drug, though. He just couldn't leave it. That's.
I was just about to mention Chisora. So if Chisora did fight Dubois, and he got very badly hurt, which I think the four of us agree it could happen.
A possibility, yeah.
Where's our sympathy quotient? Are we very sympathetic, or are we sort of leaning more towards well, look, man, you're 41 years of age. You were already beginning to show signs, and you get in with a killer. Like at some point, it's hard to save people from themselves, right?
I'm more sympathetic. I'm more sympathetic towards Blackwell because Blackwell probably believed, and it's an arrogant belief, but he was a young man when it happened. So he probably thought, oh, you know what, no harm can be done. And then unfortunately, harm was done.
It's understandable. He probably thought, oh, I'm all right now. You know what I mean? So even though I am going to say, you know, it was his decision to carry on, therefore he shoulders some of the responsibility. He has to, in my opinion. I can see that, you know, when he's in his 20s, you know, oh yeah, you know, I'm okay now. I've been given another chance. It's just a real shame that what happened obviously happened.
Yeah. It's a bit like guys in the TT motorcycle races, isn't it? That's frighteningly dangerous. And there's guys going, I think John McGuinness is in his 40s. Maybe he might be close to 50 now. He's in his late 40s. And I don't know if he's still doing it or no, but if he chooses to keep doing it and something happens to him, you know, they know the risks, don't they? So boxing's a bit the same. They do know the risks before they enter the ring. You can only advise people. If somebody's not willing to take your advice, that is on them, really, isn't it? It's no. I've heard people saying, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch it. Well, because I've got a boxing channel, I kind of have to watch it. I might not like it, but I will watch it, you know, just for purposes of talking about it.
It can make you feel dirty sometimes, can't it? I remember reading That Damage by Trish Dixon, and I don't know, like, I'm not even just saying it to be sensational. I finished that book and I felt like I needed a shower. I just felt like it makes you feel rotten.
And what you'll know yourself, watching it on the TV filters out some of the brutality or the violence. If you actually go and watch it live, there is the filter's removed, isn't it? And you're hearing the punches.
There's a definite audible difference, isn't there? You don't hear the leather smacking. You know, that's something that I've never really been able to pick up off TV. But when you're at a show, particularly like a smoker, you know, like a smaller hall show, and you can hear the thuds going in, it's very different, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Yeah, I mean, that makes me think of Mike Tyson, actually, because you always used to be able to hear the Mike Tyson thuds whenever he hit an opponent. So imagine what that must have felt like or sounded like when you're actually in the arena.
I remember, you maybe remember Roy Jones Jr. wore a microphone one time, and you could hear the punches cracking in. I don't know if it's on the television, you know.
I don't remember.
Does any of you guys remember that?
Don't remember that, and they know. But that's interesting.
He had a microphone on the back of his shorts, I think it was.
It's like that ref cam whenever they had the referees with a camera on them in wrestling, which was a short-lived fad. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they were talking about VAR as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
Getting back to sympathy for boxers, I had a lot more sympathy, but if I read, you know, historical stories about, you know, fighters in, let's say any time before the 1970s, you know, and especially the further back you go, the more pronounced this is, where people were really, really poor, really, in some cases, actually, literally hungry, and they were getting in to fight every couple of weeks. When they were injured, they didn't want to fight and stuff like that. When you read those stories, it's really bone chilling. When we're looking at a multi-millionaire like Derek Chisora being foolish, really, my personal level of sympathy isn't as high because they are, you know, they've got access to all the best advice and they are financially very, very secure. And it almost seems that they're greedy sometimes doing that.
I said in a video recently when I was talking about Chisora, he's a kind of character that could go into WWE. And that would be a safer bet than getting punched in the head, you know. But I could do that if he wanted to still make decent money, I would imagine, as opposed to going in against Dubois or somebody. He's only going to get more damage, isn't he? So less chance of that.
I just wish he would go away.
Sorry?
I think he just likes to fight, doesn't he? Sorry, Gerry.
He's just a prick. I wish he would go away. I'm still going to sell him.
Say what you think, Gerry. Say what you think.
I'm the new Russ.
It's like catchphrase, say what you see.
Don't hold back.
I'll say it now, right? I'll say it now. It would not surprise me if when he's done on the normal boxing circuit, we see him in BKFC or BKB or anything like that. Because I just think he likes violence. He's that sort of character.
How about this? Jake Paul and Derek Chisora
I could see
on
it.
a Misfits thing.
I could see it.
Yeah, I can see it, and I don't care who wins.
I'd watch that
Right
for a
up.
laugh.
It's right up to Zora's street. He'd love that.
By the
think
way,
he'd
when I say it's like catchphrase, unfortunately we don't have Mr. Chips. We've got Mr. Kebab in the corner there.
Thank you, mate. Well, I was eating chips. I was. So, yeah. Say what you say. If you say it, say it.
David, you
There
see,
you go.
good, but it's not right.
That's good, but it's not right. I'm trying to do a Northern Irish accent in front of a Northern Irishman. It'll be getting mental. Sorry, Gerry.
All right, don't do it again.
So you guys been eating chips? Use guys? No, never mind. I suck at accents.
You know what I'm talking about? Catchphrase, Bob. Do you get that in Canada? It's a game show on the television.
What's it called?
Catchphrase.
No, I don't think so. But I don't pay for cable, so I don't necessarily know what's on cable TV. But that doesn't sound familiar to me.
It ended about 20 years ago. Don't worry about it.
It's still on the go now. It's been rebooted. My wee last watches it.
Who presents it now?
Stephen Mulhern, I think it is. It used to be. Roy Walker was brilliant.
Roy Walker from Northern Ireland.
Yeah, he was good. I like him. He's a good comedian.
Very good.
Well, guys, we've got about a minute left. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Chisora's a prick.
Dave Allen, Johnny Fisher, and Johnny Fisher complaining, even though he won, even though he was gifted a decision, like he's still complaining.
Who do we think wins this?
Dave Allen, if he trains, but I think he's too lazy.
Yeah,
yeah,
lazy Rhino. Let's just hope.
I see a more determined Johnny Fisher this time as well, because everything stacked against him. He has to win it.
Yeah, if he loses, he's got nowhere to go.
He has to stick to a game plan, otherwise he's going to get outslugged, I think. Yeah. Okie dokie, guys, that's been fantastic. I think we've all enjoyed ourselves, and this could be the
absolutely
first or second of many collaborations.
Yeah, sure.
So don't forget, like and subscribe to Andy's Cavern and Canada's Boxing Channel and Porky's Corner.
And send me a kebab.
I'll do that. We'll see you all soon.
See you soon.
Cheers.
Thank you,
guys. Thank you.